Hi guys! Mabuhay! It's me, your girl, InDaynaMo, and welcome back to my Taglish channel! Hello guys! How are you all on either side of the universe? So guys, for today's video, another attraction guys dito sa Broken Hill. So this video is a exciting video guys. For today's video, adventure guys. So guys, are you ready for some fun, exciting adventure? For today's video, what are we waiting for? Happy watching! Is this 45 minutes?
Take the next left, then you will arrive at your destination.
Thank you, ma'am, sir.
Oh no, you will have a chit chat.
A bit of space, so I'm not like riding the door. So guys, we're here at Daydream Mine. We're just here in the car park. And now we're walking to go fill in the paperwork. So on the way in, it's very dirt roads, as you'll probably see from the time lapse coming in. I think we're going to have scones here. And I think we have to fill up some paperwork. We go over top and then we go down underground.
Welcome to Daydream Mine, a historic mining site near Broken Hill, New South Wales, Australia. Daydream Mine is situated in the Broken Hill region, and the road leading to it is likely named after the mine itself. Daydream Mine is a former silver and lead mine that operated in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. It played a role in the mining boom that characterized the area during that period.
Kopala. Mine over there.
You can see the souvenir shop where you can purchase a ticket. Now we just strolling around while we are waiting for the rest of the participant. And today, Daydream Mine is a tourist attraction that allows visitors to explore the remnant of the mining operations and gain insights in the harsh conditions faced by miners during the mine's active years.
The kangaroo's got cups on its ears.
Okay, my name is Peter. I'll be taking on the surface and underground tour. I think everyone's doing both. Excuse me. I'm not a mining engineer, I'm not a geologist, but I'll try and answer your questions as truthfully, as honestly as I can. I only spent a couple of years underground in Broken Hill, way back in the early 80s. Okay, we'll head through the gate and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Really? Oh, okay. I've got half the thing as mine.
It's got a fairly big route, so yeah, bear with me. The daydream mine was discovered in 1881. Children, as you may have been or may not have been, was set up about 1880. The reason why Children was set up was like a hub for all the prospects all through here. Had a local hospital, doctor and cemetery basically. The name behind the daydream, there's two prospectors, Meach and Sinclair. They headed out from Silverton up through that's called the Appalachian Valley. What they do is make camp in the mornings, head out prospecting during the day, come back and tell each other if they found any prospects. Meach actually found the daydream. The story behind the name, of course, is in summer. It's very hot here in summer, 45 degrees plus for weeks on end. So it's in December when he found it. He went to sleep underneath a tree, woke up and seen what's called a blow, which is a volcanic protrusion coming out of the ground, and all different colours. So hence he thought he was daydreaming, so they called it the daydream mine. Here's a bit of a scallywag. He went back to Silverton without telling his partner Sinclair and registered the claim in his wife's maiden name. But of course Sinclair found out, had a court case, but Meach ended up winning the court case. He would have made a fair bit of money here, but he ended up dying about 3 or 4 years later, still prospecting up the top of South Australia, ended up dying of thirst. Because water was so precious and out here in the arid area, a lot of the bore water, even the bore water is undrinkable. Prospectors would limit themselves to 500 ml of water a day. So you imagine 45 degree heat walking around, trying to limit yourself to 500 ml of water a day. So not only did they die of thirst, they actually died of organ failure because they were trying to process that in the middle of summer and the food was atrocious also. Okay, we'll head down this way.
Lucky people.
When we first started mining here, they used black powder underground and they also worked by candlelight. Here was where they stored the black powder, that's what it looks like storage, it's probably about 10 foot by 10 foot. But only, they kept the black powder out of the elements of the weather and so forth. The last run of mine was a going concern. His name was Bob Getaway, and went from 1962 to 1983. But his grandparents worked out here. They actually stayed down there for a time in summer to keep out of the heat. You notice it's great, so the reason it's great, so because in the summertime all the native animals would go down there to try and get out of the heat, and everyone got sick of dragging dead animals out. So basically put the grate over it. Most of the miners were Cornish miners. They come out obviously from Cornwall, and a lot of other European miners come out, and they were most of them were in South Australia. You may have heard of the Copper Triangle in South Australia, Munta, Kadina, and all around there. By mining copper, but the copper price fell. And I heard about prospects up around here in Silverton, Broken hadn't been discovered then, and also heard about Tibooburra, which is another 350 k's that way for gold. So what they done, they put all their possessions, what they could carry in a wheelbarrow, food, clothing, water and so on, and they pushed their wheelbarrows, depending what part of South Australia they come from, 600 to 800 k's up here looking for work. A lot of them got up here and then pushed the wheelbarrows another 350 k's that way looking for work, and once Broken Hill started they pushed the wheelbarrows back again looking for work there. And as you imagine the water situation and so forth, a lot of them would have died on the way pushing wheelbarrows up to 1,000 kilometres looking for work. That's all they knew what to do was mining, And of course, I left if they had wives and children, I left the wives and children back in South Australia until they got established up here. Yeah, it's amazing. Especially this time of year. We're early. And the rain. Only go this afternoon. Yeah. Well, you may have heard the sad news, but Collingwood lost by a point on the weekend. Anyway. On the other side of this ridge, just on the other side, that's where the main township was. Township. There's a small pepper tree not far from the foundation, and there's all smashed glass on the ground near the foundation. And that's the original glass. That's where one of the pubs was. I'm not sure if they had 2 or 3 pubs here. They had a general store, and also they had a boarding house. But none of the miners used the boarding house because the money was tight. They built their own houses, which I'll show you when we continue on the tour. The fellow who ran the general store when it first opened here in 1881, 1882, his name was Gross. He came back in the early 1900s because out here it's mainly silver and lead they were mining. The silver price dropped, everything would stop and everything get put off. But he came back in the early 1900s, but he came back with more modern equipment like lanterns, and he put a small railway system underneath where they could push carts or skips full of ore. There's still grocers in town, but they don't seem to be that rich anymore. On the way out, you would have seen the old smelter on the right hand side. That didn't start up until 1884 and 1885. We'll have a bit more to talk about it when we get around here. This is called an underlay. This actually goes back underneath, and it goes all the way back underneath the tea rooms. This wasn't part of the original mine, just another seam of silver and lead and so forth that they found here. The main ore body of the Daydream mine was up there with all the buildings and so forth. Over here is what's called a skip. You get all types of skip. A skip is what brings up ore from underground. They can be on rails or in a deep mine on a shaft, coming up and down a shaft. This one here, also they had horses here, but not underground. They used horses up the top on a round table, and the horses go around a round table and bring up the ore on a skip. Apart from that, all they used in the early days was basically their bodies. So it was very hard manual labour. They had handheld skips and so forth. And as you know, Cornish are fairly small people, 4'5", 5'6" the tallest. And when you go underground, you know why it's good to be a short miner than a tall miner in the early days. This lode here, the Silverton ore body, is a lot shallower and a lot younger. In Broken Hill, the ore body is huge compared to the Silverton ore body, and also in Broken Hill it's mainly silver and lead, and then zinc. It's a lot deeper too. I think at one stage they're down to 2.8 kilometres in Broken Hill. This mine here only goes to about, at the most, 400 metres, but there's 4.5 kilometres of shafts and drives everywhere where they chase the seams of ore. Called Meach's Blow. This after the discovery of the mine, this actually goes underground, and when we go underground, I'll point out to you where it comes out. It's sometimes full of breeze coming through from there. As you can see, the cart, which is basically a skip on rails, that was put in by Gross. In the early days, as I said, it was mainly done by hand and the horse cart bringing it out. What would happen would they blast the ore. I'll give you a demonstration underground with hammer and tap, and bring the ore up to the top. This area here was the picking area. Boys as young as 10, but mostly young teenagers working here and underground. What would happen before the smelter was built, the picky boys would sort the ore, the good ore would go into bullock carts, then head off down towards South Australia to the closest railhead, and put onto a train, go down to Port Adelaide, and all the way over to either England or Germany to be smelted. So the turnaround was huge to try and get their money back. So what happened, the New South Wales government considered the South Australian government a foreign entity, and wouldn't let them build a railway from the South Australian border to Silverton to help get the ore out and also to get supplies up. So consequently, most of managers and mine owners and business people and people around the area all put in and formed their own company and built their own rail from Silverton to the South Australian border. So the first rail in the area wasn't a public rail, it was a private rail called the Silverton Tramway Company to help get the ore out and get supplies back up here. But Broken Hill wasn't even discovered by then, and of course once the smelter started, all I do is take it straight over to smelters, be crushed here and smelted over there. BHP started in Broken Hill, was one of the first mines in Broken Hill, which is a big global mining company now. They started in Broken Hill. Their first ore they mined from Broken Hill were brought out here to two smelters out here because there's no smelters in Broken Hill at the time, and the first ore from BHP was actually smelted out here. But then they bought one and put their own smelters in Broken Hill. The Picky Boys, all this waste rock on top here, called mullock, mining term for waste rock. Even Broken Hill, when they first went there looking for silver, they picked up it looked like lead and zinc mainly, and they called it Mullock Hill, Waste Hill, until they sent off a sample and it got assayed as one of the richest lead and zinc at that time in the world of assays, one of the richest assays in the world. Another job for the Picky Boys, the young teenagers, was also when the waste rock went back underground, they had to put it like a jigsaw from the floor to the ceilings or backs, the mining term for ceilings, to stop the ceiling from falling in. So they had to be fairly fit young men. Once you get under, you understand why they have to be fairly fit young men. Not until 1914, and they changed the law, and you had to be 18 to go underground.
Guided tours are often available, providing visitors with information about the history of the mine, the lives of the miners, and the mining techniques used in the past. You can see this is the surface tour. The site may feature historical structures such as a mine shafts, processing equipment, and other remnants of the mining infrastructure.
I think it just started.
The fellow just said there's a lot of mica in the rock. That's true. All the shiny stuff you see isn't silver, it's mica, and when you go underground, all the shiny stuff you see isn't silver, it's mica. There's all different types of ore. So, as I explained, as the volcanic extrusion comes up, all the ore mixes together. And I'll show you some the main ore they case for silver. It's black and grey, which is pretty unusual. This tree here, I don't know the name of this tree, what type of tree it is. It's a mulga tree, very hard, dense wood, and that's between 200 and 250 years old. It takes ages for them to grow. Also, when you have dry periods out here, which happens regularly, you have a very severe drought, it'll drop its leaves and you'll think it's dead. And then a bit of rain, it'll regenerate and keep growing. We used to call these Tommies, or talking Tommies. The reason why we've done that for, we'd also cut these down and put them underground as a stabiliser from the floor to the backs of the ceilings to stop the ceilings coming in. The reason why we're talking Tommies, there's a bit of a warning system. We're walking past and now creaking and groaning means you're unstable ground. Back then, all they do is put some wedges in and keep going. It's all about production and nothing else. There's a 700-year-old mulga underground. I'll point out to you as you're going past. It's been polished on one side so you can see. But up to 80 kilometres all around Broken Hill. Most of the big mulgas have been cut down, most of the big gum trees have been cut down, only for workings underground. And in Broken Hill, they had big timber stopes. They didn't use to put back in. They used timber stopes. So most of the timber around here has been cut down around for a while. It's red and it's dusty, and it's yeah, just a real pain basically. We'll go down and have a look at what they actually lived in when they came up here.
Daydream Mine offers an educational experience allowing visitors to learn about the challenges and successes of mining in the region. It provides a glimpse into the industrial history of Broken Hill and the significance of mining to the local economy.
Pretty rough.
Sleep standing up.
This is called a Mia or Maya, Aboriginal name for shelter, home, settlement. As you can see, all they've done was use the environment around them. They couldn't afford to live in a boarding house, so they used the stones, the mulgars, and there was sackcloth for hessian bags, and I'd lime wash the hessian bags. That's actually what they lived in. Most of the miners would sleep sitting up. Does anyone know the reason why they'd sleep sitting up? Yeah, basically because they'd have lung diseases, and because of the ventilation back then, they had no way they couldn't water down because water was too precious. They didn't have pumps, and there was no proper ventilation, so they were constantly breathing in the dust. And the dust had very small, sharp shards of rock and would cut their lungs to pieces. And they're too scared to sleep lying down because they drown in their own fluids, basically. If they started out, most of the picky boys were miners' sons. They started out as young teenagers and kept mining, which more than likely they did. The average age, they'd only lived to be 35 to 40 years old. It was a fairly short, hard lifespan, but that's all they knew what to do. They worked 12-hour shifts, night and day shift. They stayed underground for the full 12 hours. They stayed underground when they went to the toilet, stayed underground when they ate, and they stayed underground when they blasted. So the poisonous gases and the lead and all the rest of it would have made it worse. The food, when they first came up here, was brought out by tins from England by ship, a train, bullock cart, and the seals on the tins, what do you think it was made of? Lead. So the only way we get lead poisoning from underground, they come up, they'd eat out of the tins and get lead poisoning from the food. The water situation here is like the bore water. Some of it's okay, some of it's not. On the station here, Lawrence owns it, he'll check a bore and if it's okay, go back a week or two later, there'll be 2 or 3 dead sheep. So it's pretty risky because the water table changes. It's not part of the artesian basin, it's about another 80 or 90 k's away, which is pretty good water compared to here. So most of the water in the drier seasons were brought in by bullock cart also from west of the South Australian border or the Darling River or Darling Barkinji River at Menindee was brought in by bullock carts. If you look out on the ridge down there, there's a fairly big hill and there's a tree down there by itself. That's a bit of a slake or a dam. We also used to get water from there 6 days a week. They have 1 day off. They head him out 6 days working. So, well, Sundays they play cricket or football or Silton, but the women weren't allowed to go because the men would be drunk all the time, swearing and fighting. Nothing wrong with having water in dams and so forth. Once the natural animals feces, once they had cattle stations feces, wash in the water, drink the water, and they get waterborne diseases. Here and Silton and Broken Hill had a very high rate of waterborne diseases, a very high death rate. Probably like that in the rest of the world, but out here in the arid area where water is so precious, the infant death rate was very high, and the waterborne diseases also was very high. Lead poisoning eventually killed off a lot of people too. Poisons from breathing in gases from underground killed them off fairly quickly too. Yeah, so you're quite welcome to go in there and have a quick look around. That other tree there is called Dead Finish. I haven't been out here, I've only just come back for the last 3 or 4 weeks. I was out here about 2 years ago, and that, you'd swear that was dead, like it was just twigs. And like I say, a bit of rain regenerates and keeps going, but unfortunately some trees just don't. Most of the miners, they smoked opium. Back in the day in most of Australia, most of the mining areas, they smoked opium. They didn't smoke opium to get off like these days. They got derivatives of heroin and all the rest of it. They smoked opium so they could relax. They go down and do 12-hour shift by hand, all the waterborne diseases, the lung diseases, and they smoke opium so they could relax, get a good night's sleep, and get back up and do it all over again. I'm not sure when opium was outlawed, but actually the English brought the opium here, not the Chinese. The English had the wars over the opium with the Chinese. They won, and they actually brought the opium out and sold the opium out here. Okay, we'll head up. Actually, use mica was good for. I used to use them in ovens, heat resistant, and also electricity resistivity. But also as a pathfinder, I found mica. I chased mica, usually find lead and zinc ore bodies, especially in Broken Hill. You see on the side of the hill over there, you see a different change of colour. That's their old diggings. There's over 300 shafts in this area, over 100 years old. And you've got to be careful when you're walking around basically, because all I've done was put timber over them back then, and of course the timber's rotted. But as you're driving back through the hills and so forth, just keep an eye out for a change of colour, and usually next to it you'll see a foundation where we actually live next door to their diggings basically. You can see by this sign here, these are steam engines, pump engines. They're also brought up by bullock cart from Adelaide. You imagine the weight of them, how long it would take to get them up here. They don't come from here, they come from a station near Timberborough. Kevin, the fellow who manages the lease here, went and got them, but the wheels still turn and things still work on them, which goes to show how I made things back in the early days. I made things to last, which I had to make things to last because it's so isolated in the areas where they went. I brought water up once I started cattle and sheep stations basically. What you say you want to go home?
When are we going to go home?
A lot of this equipment are from mines that are all around here. This one here is from the old South mine. That's a winder. As I said in Broken Hill, it's a lot deeper ore body in Broken Hill. At one stage they have 3 or 4 shafts. What happens, it goes down a shaft, then you get levels going out chasing the ore bodies. And at one stage they're down to 2.8 kilometres, and they're back in that mine again, and I think we're at 2 kilometres and going back down into it. What would happen, this had a big wire rope on it, and you had a cage on the end of it. And the cage would go down, usually with 2 decks with a men in it to go to work, equipment, and there's separate shafts with winders and skips going up for the ore body. When I worked there in the early 80s, you work 5 days a week. On Saturdays and Sunday you can do overtime, but on a Monday morning, when you come into work, everyone will be fighting to get in the top deck. What do you think that is? With everyone being because these things are on a big wire rope, and it's not like a lift. Sometimes you go down and it goes boing, boing, and it could be a kilometre underground type thing, bounces up and down.
So hangovers.
Yeah. If on a Monday morning, if a boys have been on the terps and you're on the bottom deck and it starts going this and they feel a bit funny, you pop all the spew. That's why everyone will be fighting to get in the top deck. The old H&S now is a lot better. You're not even allowed to smoke cigarettes underground now. Okay, that's an old skip. Basically what? That'll be on a rail. Push it up, push it over, and push that out. That's heavy by itself. Another job for the picky boys or the young teenagers was pushing the ore up to the top. But I'll show you some more when you go underground. The ore itself is fairly heavy, so it would have to be fairly fit young men push these things full of ore up to get them up to the top so they could process it.
So heavy.
If you're planning to visit Daydream Mine, it's a good idea to check for any specific visitors, information, tour availability, or operating hours. Exploring historic mining site like Daydream Mine can offer a unique perspective on the rich mining heritage of the Broken Hill area.
The botanist was. It's a derivative of it. It's close related. And also, they did actually grow poppies. That's not one, but they actually did grow poppies and made their own opium for walls, and their own alcohol. Even to this day, there's an old lady in town, always that beautiful red flower, not really realising it. You can get the derivative of heroin out of it. This is shaft number 2. As you can see, in the early days, it's got a boatman's seat on it. The H&S wasn't very good. I used shafts for 2 to 3 reasons. One of the main reasons in the early days I used a shaft was trying to get a bit of ventilation going to get the dust out and so forth. Because before that, just used inclines and declines. But also use them to get equipment and men up and down, and also to get the ore up and down instead of taking all the way up to back to the declines to get them up. I had 4 or 5 shafts on the Daydream Mine, but we only see 2 because the other shafts are all basically 2 don't go down and so forth. Shaft number 3 over here, you can see a head frame up. That's what Bob Pitaway, he refurbished it, put a head frame on it, and from 62 to 83. That's his crusher, and that's his weekend of air, basically. He actually died fairly young, 62, but there's pictures of him. He's got an air, I don't know, I'll show you an air leg mine when we go underground. It's like a big drill. He's drilling into the face. He's got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. He's got no protection at all. So, and they thought he may have been drinking the water out here. So, yeah, he ended up dying of cancer fairly young. But the tax man never knew how much money he made. So, good on him. It's a beautiful day, isn't it? They don't usually come out for another 3 weeks or something.
Really has,
just because of the water.
the bit of rain they've had is really.
Yeah. If you look out on the slopes there, there's a 2-bedroom or a house, a foundation out there. That's a bit of a luxury one, like a bit of a slope to look down, a bit of a valley and so forth. But once the miners got up here, they bring their wives and children up here. So just imagine it was very hard on the wives and children also. The wives, because of the water situation, the food situation, in the dust storms, trying to keep everything clean. The mother was saying when she was young in Broken Hill, they had a dust storm, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face, it was that bad. There's a story in the Cairns there, a lady had twins, one got sick, she took it into Silverton, it died, come back out, 4 days later, her other twin died. So the infant death rate was horrendous out here. I don't know if any of you have been to Silverton yet, but on the way into Silverton, there's a place, it's got a sign, Penrose Park, it's to the right, and in there is where the local cemetery was for all around here. A bit morbid, but if you look around, have a look around there, you'll notice how young everyone was when they died here, basically. Okay. Any questions about the surface? Yep, just ask questions as we go. Just wait at the top there and I'll give you the talk before we go down.
Point of no return. point of no return refund. Mine's near the village in Old Cove.
Okay, everyone, it's a fairly big group under the Mine Inspection Act, but also our safety thing. We've always got to try and know where you are. So a lot of times people go underground. They say they've been underground before, been to caving and all that sort of thing. Well, some people haven't even been underground before. They get scared, they get claustrophobic, and they want to go back. If that happens, you've got to let me know. Or if I'm at the front, just pass it down, and then we make a call up to the top and make sure you get out nice and safely. Because just remember, it's an old mine. There's old drives and shafts and holes everywhere. So you've got to be careful about. Yeah, I've got to keep an eye on you basically, and it's a bit hard when it's a fairly big group. So I'm sorry about that. The children stay with the parents, and in the smaller areas, especially for the taller people, especially at the start here, it's a fairly confined area. It's best to go down backwards, hang on to rails, or sideways. Because trust me, if you go down forwards and I'll still hit your head, you're constantly banging your helmet on the backs or the ceilings. Okay, and the footing, it's not all concrete and beautiful down there. There's a lot of loose gravel and so forth. Just take your time and watch your footing. And don't try and hurry. If you feel like, oh, I'm going too slow, don't worry. It's all about safety. Don't worry about that. Just take your time and just yell out to me if you're not feeling well. Because I think I told you, someone went down there right near the bottom, and oh, it was very scary. But she's all right after a while. Okay, turn your lights on.
Yes. You press once more.
2B? 2B?
Yeah,
High beam or low beam?
Oh, it's up to you. When you get down there, you adjust it whichever way you want to go.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone ready? Right, we'll head down.
Hopefully we've got flies don't follow underneath. A rabbit, maybe.
This is a good venture.
How you going there?
So fine. Don't trust the road.
Good being Filipino. I just walk on my bum. Dito.